Good morning, everybody. Today's practice is all about creating space. So we've already carved out a little bit of space in our lives to do a yoga practice. And of course, we can carve out this time any time that we have. So 30 minutes is a really good length of time to just connect to yourself, see what's going on. This morning, we're going to start lying on our back. So spinning round, extend the legs away from you. I'm going to come into a pose called banana pose in just a moment. But just to begin, let's take one hand to our heart, one hand to our tummy. Legs can be straight or bent. And just start to notice your breathing. Breathing in through the nose. Breathing out through the nose if you can. If you're bunged up with a cold or anything, just breathe out through the mouth. But ideally, we breathe in through the nose. It regulates our intake and outtake of breath. One more full breath into belly, side ribs, collarbones. Pause at the top and breathe out. And do 2 more rounds of breath where you hold the breath naturally at the top of the inhale and also at the end of the exhale. And just imagine you're dropping your thoughts into these little spaces between the breath. As our breathing slows down, very often our mind starts to slow down too. There's such a link there. So let's create a little bit of space in our body now. We're going to extend the legs. Take your right leg out to the side and then lean over so your right shoulder is in line with the right ankle, and just take the arms overhead. Now this left ankle can either be where it is or it can stack on top of your right ankle. Hold on to your left wrist and just tilt to the right. So this is very easy but very beneficial for tight shoulders and tight hips. So deep breath into the left lung. Pause, breathe out. Pause. So creating space in our side body now, breathing in and breathing out. So these are the muscles that we breathe through all day, our intercostals. When they're tight, we don't breathe so well. So it's so beneficial to create space there. And now let's come back to center like a little starfish, arms overhead wide, feet wide. Take a normalizing breath in between sides. And now stack the right ankle on top of the left as you lean over towards the left. Just pull that right wrist and go all the way down the right side body. And just let the mind soften and settle into the spaces between the breaths. Because this is a space time that you've carved out just for you. And come back to center. And give those knees a little hug in now, the symbol of self-love, a little bit of a loving embrace. Take the hands just behind the kneecaps and let's roll up and down the spine just 2 or 3 times. So creating space between the vertebrae of the spine. And then let's come up into a comfortable cross-legged position. And then just take a moment to roll the shoulders back. Notice what's going on in the neck today. And then holding onto the thighs or the kneecaps, just look as far as you can over the left shoulder as you roll the right shoulder back. Ever so gently drop the left ear. Just notice all that space now in the right side of the neck. And then lift up again. Let's look over the right shoulder. Roll the left shoulder back. And then just slightly drop the right ear towards the earth. So breathing into the side of the neck. And come back to center. And just trickle those left fingertips to the side now. And as you press the left hand down, breathe in as you sweep the right arm up and over. And again, creating space in our breathing muscles on the right side. Take a full conscious breath in there. Exhale, soften the right hip towards the earth. Take one more deep breath. And slowly lift up. We're taking this right hand behind us now. So coming into a twist after creating space. Take the left hand to the opposite knee and just start to rotate your spine. Do you grow tall, lifting up the ears? Exhale, pull the tummy in, see if you can rotate a tiny bit more. One more breath. And back to center. Stay in those little pauses between the breath. Right hand to side now, left arm lifts up and over, lengthening into the left side body. Take a huge breath there. Pause as you exhale and soften into the shape. And now one more deep breath. Inhale, rising up, left hand behind, right hand comes across. And again, rotate the spine as you look over that back shoulder. Huge breath in. Exhale to soften. One more deep breath. So a lot of side stretches today to create all this space. Let's come back to center. And there was a quote from Desa Kochara last century who said 90% of the benefits of yoga come from 10% of the most simple poses, and certainly side stretches of those. So as you spread your hands now very, very widely underneath your shoulders, take the knees under your hips. And we're going to do little barrel rolls here. So as you exhale, drop the tummy. As you inhale, move to the left and then round into the upper back as you move to the right. So again, we're creating space in the side ribs. And just notice your neck. You want to kind of move the head a little bit natural. Does that feel natural? Just kind of easing yourself into the body, especially if it's first thing. Now change the direction of your rolls. So the hands are really important to support you. Make sure your hands are spread very widely. And now let's come to a neutral spine where we lift the tummy up. And again, keeping those hands spread. We're just going to take the hands slightly forward of the shoulders now. And as we tuck our toes, we're coming into downward facing dog. If this is too early for you, stay on all fours. And lift up both the heels as you inhale. Exhale, heels come down towards the earth. Do that 2 more times. Keep that awareness on the breath and the little spaces between the breaths. So pause here now. Press the left heel towards the earth and now lift the right leg as high as you can. And take one big, full, deep breath. And then gaze forward. We're going to take that right hand to the outside of the right foot to the outside of the right hand. And you might even come off your yoga mat altogether with the foot. We're creating space in the hips now. So circling around. And there's always a little bit that we don't like. It generally becomes our hamstrings as we straighten the leg. Can we perhaps linger in the bit we don't like and take an extra breath? Because that's the tension in your body that is really asking to be released. And now as you next rebend that right knee, press your left hand into the earth and sweep the right arm up to the sky and just start to circle the ankle, wrist. And now take that right hand down. We're going to swivel on the mat. We're going to come sideways on into a forward fold. So I'm just going to face you, a more prettier shot. And then inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale to fold. And do that one more time. Inhale, lengthen spine. Exhale to fold. And then just pause already in this forward fold. Let the head be heavy and take a deep breath as you press into the feet. And then once again, we're going to walk towards the front of the mat and come back to downward facing dog. And take a moment to pause now. See if both sides feel the same or different in any way. Pause, spread fingers. Inhale, lift up the heels. Exhale, heels come down. Inhale, lift the heels. Exhale, heel comes down. And now press that right heel towards the earth as the left leg starts to elevate towards the sky. Flex the foot, so toes towards the floor. Take a breath. And now take the left foot to the outside of the hand. And again, let's sway and swirl. Just easing into the body, creating space between the joints. So twisting now, press the right hand to the earth, left arm rises up and just circle out that left wrist. So this is our pattern today. We're going to be doing this a few times. And now let's come sideways onto the mat again. So feet are parallel, breathing in as we lift our head. Exhale, heart and head towards the earth. Inhale, long spine. Exhale, we fold. And as the head comes towards the earth, again, just visualize all those thoughts just dripping out the top of the skull. And just simply feel the next breath. And again, we wiggle ourselves round to the front. Hands down, downward facing dog. So breathing in now, let's come forward to the top of a push-up, a plank pose. Pause at the top of the breath, and then as you exhale, press back to downward facing dog, and then wait at the end of the exhale. So 2 more of those. Inhale forward. Match the movement with breath. Exhale, we come back. Inhale, we come forward. Exhale, we come back. And this time we're lowering onto our tummy. So as we come forward, you can drop the knees or not. It's your choice. And then rolling onto the front body. Hands either side now. Press into your toenails. And as you inhale, curl up the heart. Pause at the top. Exhale, we come back down. Pause at the bottom. Do 2 more of those with your own unique breathing pattern. Nice, steady movement. We don't have to race. Let this be a sacred pause for yourself. And as you turn the toes and bend the knees, once again, we come back into downward facing dog. Take a moment there to bend the knees and press the heart towards the thighs. And again, just think about lengthening the side body. Breathe in and breathe out. And then depending on how you are this morning, you might walk towards the hands now as we come to the front of the mat, or bend the knees and do a little hop. No good or bad choice, just your choice. Inhale to a flat back. Pause here and really with your hands, press your thighs back. And now consciously lengthen the spine. Feel the backs of the legs, maybe they're speaking to you. Take a breath. And from there, let's come all the way up to stand and roll the shoulders back. So same thing we did on the ground now, but standing up. So pause as you press your feet into the earth. And as you inhale, lift the arms up to the sky. Hold your left wrist and just ever so slightly tilt to the right. Pause there and bounce up 1 centimetre. And now with a bend in the knees, continue a half circle all the way down to the ground. Pause at the bottom and take a deep breath in. And now press into the feet and come back the same way. So coming up to the right, circling all the way up. So nice to create space in the body. Let's do this one more time. Inhale, lift the left wrist. Exhale, tilt to the right. Bounce up a tiny bit. And then continue to the earth. Pause at the bottom, take a breath. Press into the feet and breathe yourself back up again. And just pause at the top. Take the palms down beside you. Notice if there's more space on the left side compared to the right. Breathe into that space. Now let's do the other side. Inhale, right arm rises. Hold the right wrist. Exhale, tilt to the left. Bounce up 1 centimetre. Continue to the ground. Pause at the bottom. Take a breath. And then let's come back. It's like a morning yawn, really, isn't it? Let's do one more in your own unique breathing pattern. And be so gentle with the shoulders. Try not to yank the wrist or bring any pain into the body. And inhale, let's come all the way up to stand again. Really nice. So let's add on now to that original flow. Come to the front of the mat. Take your hands to Anjali Mudra. The hands are in prayer. Just giving thanks to this day, this practice that we're sharing together. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Side body lengthens. Exhale, we fold to a forward fold. Inhale, press your thigh bones back, lift your heart. And let's step back to downward facing dog. I'm going to change direction again. Breathing in, right leg rises. Exhale, right foot to the outside of the right hand. Let's come back to the twist. Right arm lifts to the sky. Take a breath. Exhale, right hand comes down. And let's pivot again, long ways on the mat. So this time we're going to add a little bit more work. We're going to bend the left knee as we walk towards the left foot. And then bend the right knee as we walk towards the right foot. So with your hands on the earth, you're stretching the hips. If you take your hands to a little prayer off the ground, you're strengthening. So what do you need today? Just notice. And just do one more on each side. And then from there, taking your fingers to the earth, let's take our hands to our hips and slowly rise up. Pause at the top. Bend the right knee now as you come into warrior two. Toes face forward. Arms are outstretched. And let's add a little bit of energy flow moving now. Inhale, straight leg, fingers touch overhead. Exhale, ground the energy, palms come down. Inhale, fingers overhead. Exhale, ground back into warrior two. Do that 2 more times. And remember those pauses between the breaths. So now we're going to take this left hand and wrap it around your waist. So the fingers are by the right waist. And then lean your upper body back. And now lengthen from right waist to right fingers. Huge breath in there. Maybe you bend just slightly deeper into that right knee. Take 1 more breath. And then let's come back to warrior two. Hold on to your hips now and turn to face the front of your mat. We're just going to play a little bit more with balance. Interlace your palms and lift them up to the sky. Lift the heels of the hands, lift the heart. Huge breath into the upper body. And now take that little interlace to the right thigh and lean forward. So this in itself is going to strengthen the right hip, or we might lift the left leg. And we'll use our hands to press against the right thigh bone to create space. Space in the spine. So gaze forward. And if we wobble, just know that we're wobbling. It really is no biggie. Take 2 deep breaths. And balances are so good to help us focus and clear the busy mind. Let's drop back down now into a lunge. The left heel is lifted. We raise the right arm, the arms, take a huge breath. And just lift up and down a little bit. So Maya Angelou wrote, I may not choose what happens to me. I might not choose what happens to me, but I refuse to be diminished. So visualize that now. Let's refuse to be diminished as we lengthen the spine, lift the heart, spread the fingers, and take a huge breath into the whole body. We can always choose to take up space. Hands come down. Let's come back to downward facing dog. So you have a choice now to stay here, to drop down onto all fours, or to come through a vinyasa. So breathing our way forward into plank, lowering the body. Breathe your heart up to the sky. Exhale, downward facing dog. Are we ready for side two? So just check there's space between the finger joints, perhaps space between the toes. Try stretching the toes apart. Inhale, left leg rises. Pause, and then take the left foot to the outside of the left hand. Right hand presses into the earth as the left arm lifts, coming into a twist. Lift high into those left fingers as you breathe in. Left hand comes down. Let's come sideways onto the mat. This time we're going to interlace our palms behind you and lift them up towards the sky. So stretching into our shoulders. Head comes towards the earth. Take 3 breaths. The breaths be really smooth, and then slowly pressing into the feet. Let's lift ourselves up. Pause at the top. Sometimes we can get a little head rush. Let's come into warrior two. So from there, let's come inhale, fingertips touch overhead. Exhale, ground the energy as the palms come down. 2 more of those. And then pause, gaze forward. We always have a place to look in every pose. So looking at your middle finger of the front hand, wrap the right hand around your waist, and then lift up as we lean back. And just visualize that left lung expanding into this space you've created. And take 2 full breaths. Lift yourself back into warrior two. And then let's turn and face the front of your mat. So interlace the way that you normally don't. So that's the opposite thumb on top. And breathe in as you lift your arms up. So refuse to be diminished now as we take up so much space, long spine. Take a full breath. And then lean forward and take the hands to the thigh. So we're pressing that left thigh back as maybe we see what happens if we lift the right leg. And now we find space in the spine as we lengthen. 2 breaths. And then we drop that foot delicately down again, although nobody sees if we don't. And we lift the arms up. Big full breath into this lunge, taking up all this space. And then let's take the hands down Come back to downward facing dog. Option to stay here for a few breaths, or final vinyasa, coming forward into plank, lowering the body. Inhale to rise. Exhale, downward facing dog. And so from here, we're going to come to a seated position. So as you gaze forward, do a little hop, crisscross the ankles, and somehow get down to the earth. So we're going to come into a back bend now, to creating a little bit of space in our spine. But before we do, we'll come into some core work. You can't have a strong back and a weak core, and vice versa. So bring those knees in towards the chest as we did earlier. Lift the palms behind the back of the neck. And as we exhale, we're going to curl the upper body up. And then lengthen the right leg away from you as the right elbow comes towards the left knee. Inhale back to centre. Exhale, left leg extends. Left elbow across. 2 more deep breaths on each side. Quickly become very disconnected. And then let's take the knees down. So back bends are incredibly important, especially as women. We're much more vulnerable for osteoporosis. And back bends regulate our kidney energy, which again, we rely on a lot as we get a little older, and especially around menopause. So just little health tips there. Bend the knees, press the feet into the ground. If you want to know more, please do email me. And slowly breathe in now. We're going to lift our lower back, our mid back, and our upper back. And as you exhale, come back down again, upper back, mid back, and lower back. A little bit more space to the side. Let's lift our arms up too. So inhale, arms float up and over, reach into your fingers. Exhale, we come back down again. So depending upon your back today, you might stay with these kind of moving fluid bridges, or you might be ready to stay up, in which case interlace the palms, lift the heart, lift the head, lift the hips, or your head. Now pause there in a static bridge. About 4 breaths. And on this final breath, remember those pauses at the top and the bottom of the breath. Drop all forward into those pauses. The description of that stillness is called a point of peace. Super slowly come down now. Move the knees in towards your chest. Just gently rock side to side. And then we're just going to do a very brief forward fold after our back bend. So slowly lifting up. Lengthen the legs away from you. Draw the tummy in, and as you inhale, lift your arms towards the sky. And as you exhale, drape your upper body over the legs. Let the head just drop now. Notice where you're feeling sensation. Can you breathe around that sensation? Notice if we're judging sensation, wishing it was different. Just allow there to be space to experience it. 2 more breaths. And then draw your tummy in as you slowly roll up. And just pause at the top. Allow there to be space to settle. Now bend your right knee and take the right foot over the left leg. Make sure the foot is firmly planted. And we're just going to wrap our left elbow around the right knee and take the right fingers behind as we look into this twist. You can just take the left elbow up as well, almost like a little stop sign. Breathing in, keep flexing the other foot, the left foot. Breathing in, breathing out. And again, let there be those tiny pauses between the breaths. Come back to center, extend the right leg, now bend the left knee. And again, hook your elbow or otherwise around that thigh and look over the back shoulder. And again, let there be spaces between the breaths. And these pauses, these spaces are so important. It's the difference between acting and reacting. When we can learn to pause, we genuinely make a lot better choices. generally we don't shout at our loved ones too. Let's extend those legs. Not that I've mastered that yet. I've been doing yoga for 30 years. So let's come on to our back. Always remember it's yoga practice, not yoga perfect. So let's roll the shoulders back. Take the feet hip width apart. Let the knees rock together now and the feet slightly wider than their hips. So we're just going to take our knees side to side like a little windscreen like this. Super slowly. Pull the tummy. This is just easing out the back. And then just come back to center. Lift your legs up and your hands up and just shake everything out. This is so good to get rid of any last little bit of stagnant energy. Feel the tingles. That's our energy, our prana, our chi. Then we extend the legs. So if your back's okay, keep the legs long. Any niggles, have the knees bent. Hands beside you, palms up, or possibly they rest on your body. And allow the eyes to softly close. And return back to a natural breath. No structure, just allowing. And let all the facial features soften. The shoulders relax. The waist, the hips. And just a little quote from Rachel Bruthen about what the goal of yoga is. The goal of yoga is not the pose. The yoga pose is not the goal. Becoming flexible or standing on your hands is not the goal. The goal is to create space where you were once stuck, to unveil layers of protection you've built around your heart, to appreciate your body and become aware of the mind and the noise it creates, to make peace with who you are. The goal of yoga is to love you. Shift your focus and your heart will grow. So the space that we create is getting to know ourselves, not trying to change ourselves, closing the eyes, and just let all those thoughts drop into the spaces between the breaths. And trust that I'm watching the time for you just to stop and press that pause button and drop into those spaces. And just consciously commit to 3 more rounds of breath, lingering in the pauses between inhale and exhale. And now let's yawn the body awake again, reaching the arms up overhead, pointing your toes, filling the side body with fresh energy, new breath, new beginnings. And then bring the knees back towards your chest, a gentle rock from side to side. And one side of the body will beckon you, just roll onto one side. And take a moment there in a little fetal position. Just staying here, staying with this moment. It's so easy to race ahead and Fill that space we've made with our to-dos. Slowly, slowly come up to a seat. And my gratitude, as always, for you practicing with me today. Let's take our hands to our heart space. And as we inhale, sweep the arms to the sky. As we exhale, hands to our hearts. Namaste.